would like to tell Sharm it's safe now, and we would like to invite all the people in the warm city, sunny city, and Sharm is safe anyway.
Visitors are saying Sharm el-Sheikh is the ultimate destination for safety, peace, security, and tranquility. Basma Taha for Nile TV International.
Disco.
Welcome back. And right now, moving on to our second segment for today, we'll be talking about our children or our new generation. Usually, as we said in the very beginning, we are looking forward to have a generation who might think out of the box. And this is the most important statement or words that we hear these days. We need someone to think out of the box to move forward. So how to follow with our children, how to make our youth just know how to make scientific researches, because the researches are very, very important for the development of the country, actually. So today we have with us our guest, Dr. Rania Siam. She is the chair of the biology department in the American University in Cairo, and I think we have a lot of questions, many questions to you today. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, doctor. I know how passionate you are about scientific thinking, so I'll let you delve in it at your ease. The thing is, how do we reach that method? Because it's a methodology of thinking. It's a way, even it's outside of science. It's a way, it's a mechanism by which you even solve problems outside of science. So how can we implement that culture?
That's actually a very well-spoken statement you've just said, because implementing research and science in education is not just one step, it's a process. And the process requires an absolute change in our thinking, change in the thinking of our educators, as well as the change of the thinking of the culture of people. And how we can implement this is, I really think we should work together. Both schools and media have to have science in it, implemented in it. The progress of science is so fast. If we do not do it now, we'll be so behind with this.
You know, talking about how important it is when it comes to science education, I want you to tell us more about it, because in the very beginning or a few years ago, it was a little bit difficult. Some people believe it is very complicated when it comes to science and scientific. But I myself, you know, when I started to read more and to meet with people, they started to use a very simple language. And I've got some seminars in the American University in Cairo as well. And I saw how now we can bring our children, kids, to start with them talking about scientific researches. It was very interesting.
Yes. Unfortunately, you're absolutely right. People have a misbelief that science is a complex process. It is definitely complex, but so is any other thing in life. And I think we need to look at it in a different way, because if we have it implemented in different systems, then it will not seem foreign. The problem is that it seems foreign to the let's say the lay audience when they look at science, thinking it's very complex, when it's actually not. Now, your question is, how do we view that differently? How do we make it a simple process? Science shouldn't be given as a teaching process. It should be a thinking process. Science is about thinking, not about teaching and giving. So we need to have our students think in a different way, to think as scientists, as researchers, rather than giving them the knowledge, to give them a small seed and then have them move on with that on their own. So it's a process of thinking.
How can we do it? This is my question.
Well, like a train.
Yes. So it depends on the age group we're looking at. We can give them a very simple experiment. For example, we can give them a very simple plant experiment. Obviously, it depends, because science includes chemistry, physics, biology, even math could be considered a science. But as a biologist, I'll speak from what I know, which is the science of biology, is we can give, let's say, kindergarten, a very simple experiment, like looking at the different size of stones that they find and asking them to look at it differently and compare between them and come up with ideas as to why this looks like this versus that. And you'd be very surprised the kind of things they come up with. In fact, I don't teach kindergartners,
Yeah.
but
Definitely.
I mean, I wish I would, because I think if I can start that early, maybe I can implement things in an easier way. But for example, this semester I'm teaching a course for non-science students. And the course, although it's for non-science students, I want them to appreciate the importance of science. And I'm very impressed with them, because the kind of questions they come up with are things, like you said, it's outside of the box. I think as a biologist, you think as a presenter, and some other person would think as an economist. Now, if we combine our expertise together, we'll come up with something that's really novel. And this is the idea behind education. Education is no longer one track, it's interdisciplinary. And we all have to think together to merge the different fields and the different subjects, and then we come up with new ideas and new ways.
It's very interesting that you say that. It's like having a little bit of everything. And when you said that science is moving very fast, this honestly makes me worried, because I feel that people don't have enough general knowledge. Like I was so happy when you said that you had non-science students that had enough general knowledge. But here we're talking about AUC, which is one of the most prominent universities in Egypt. Do you feel that we're lagging behind with general knowledge?
I do not know how to answer this well, because when it comes to science, the knowledge is so vast. Now, we obviously need to have a very simple background in science. And yes, generally speaking, I would say the majority of people that I meet, their general knowledge in science is not what I expect. And if I may say, I actually blame it on the media more on education. It's easier for me as an educator to blame it on some other system. But the reason why I say that is when I watch, let's say, a simple sitcom, an American, always science is implemented.
Like catchphrases.
Yes,
even.
and this is not implemented in Egypt, and I really wish we can implement it. For example, you watch South Park, which is an American, it's actually a very silly cartoon, and they talk about stem cells, they talk about things like that. It's different from having a channel like Discovery Channel giving science, because the person that would turn to Discovery Channel is someone who's interested in science. But those who are not interested in science, I think they're not interested just because they don't know. Give them the opportunity to know, and then let them decide whether they're interested in it or not.
I know, okay, you put the blame on the media, but also I want to include with me the education.
No, okay.
Because, no, what I want to talk about is, I'm not talking, of course, definitely about the private universities or schools, but we need to do something to the schools in Egypt, to the education, because you know what is the problem? Even ourselves, because when it comes to studying, even in private school, I was in a private school, and at the end of the day, I used to study science just as if I have to memorize, I have to understand, I have to study. The way we are teaching our students science is completely wrong.
I totally agree with you.
Science is not by just writing on the board or just by reading the book and studying statements. I have to move on to the lab. I have to do something with my hands. I have to start it like this. So because if for example you got the chance to work with kids, I think you are going to be very much satisfied, because when they move on to the university, you will find everything bright.
Yes.
So how can we help them?
Let me just